Hi, it's great to see you again. Last time we chatted a little bit about themes, or introduced the concept of themes. So Andrew, my partner in Affinity OS, is going to share just some commentary around, on a high level, what themes are and how they work and how you can drill down into them.
Sure. Thank you, Grant. Andrew here. And yeah, it was nice to get back together after last week and start to drill into some of the data that we can get access to here at Affinity OS. I think it's important to note that a lot of the feedback comes through the open text that people will type in their feedback, and being able to aggregate that and look at that group together or in common themes and see what sort of sentiment you're getting is really a huge advantage to using Affinity OS versus many other platforms where you literally have to look at each comment and anecdotally make a decision about what that comment is about. So let's drill in, and we'll get some commentary from Grant on how you might use this in your club. Here we are quickly at themes and what bubbles to the top.
Yeah, so you look at that and you see the bigger the bubble, obviously, the more commentary around that comment. So class, for example, is the big one here in this set of themes. And then if you dig down further into class, you can see it's actually broken up relatively evenly, with things from, on the more prevalent side, class time, down to maybe class book or booking. So if you want to drill deeper into that, you can actually again go down another level and you can look at the individual comments around that. But one of the things that Andrew might talk about is the fact that this is different. The ring around, the red and green ring around the outside are not so much about score. They're more about, what is it, Andrew?
Sentiment. Yep. Sentiment. So yeah, you're able to see how many positive or negative, the ratio of positive to negative of those pieces of feedback. Yes. And
so that's important because we do want to determine what the sentiment of our members are. And then where you take this as a manager is to hand this or direct this to your Group X director to look at this and dig a little bit deeper. And each level they go down, they'll get more and more granular, and they can get down to the individual commentary. But what it is really is a very simple guide to any common themes that are appearing within your club that you should be aware of. And those could be positive themes too. It doesn't always have to be negative themes. But to close these loops or to rectify these challenges is something that doesn't take a lot of time often, but does take a little bit of clarity, and Affinity OS gives you that clarity. Other thing, did you have anything you wanted to add to that, Drew?
No, but I think probably a good segue to this is, as you're exploring your themes, there's going to be times where you might panic over a large quantity of negative sentiment, and it's sometimes it could be seasonal, and maybe you could speak to that, Grant.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to jump back to the initial screen we're on, so you can see at the top here is the affinity score, and then you can drop down and you can see member likelihood to recommend, team likelihood to recommend. Go down another level, you got likelihood to continue, friendliness, cleanliness, satisfaction, and then alerts. But beneath that is your NPS over time, which is what I wanted to reflect on as it relates to seasonality. What this is telling us is how we're scoring, and even though we don't want to put a lot of emphasis on numbers, you can see thematically something happening here, and you can see the number sits around the 60 mark, which is really good, October, November, where we have substantial numbers of feedback. So it's quality and quantity of feedback. But then December it drops, and that's going to be a pretty natural progression in clubs, and that's mainly going to happen because at that time of year, clubs are not being members aren't attending as much. Clubs don't have the same availability because of public holidays and change of schedules. People aren't getting as great a value out of their membership because they're just not, seeing as much usage. you drop to January, and that's not so much the case. It's actually the opposite. Everybody's fired up now. It's a new year, a lot of new members, and the club is crushed. And as a function of that, people aren't getting value because they can't get into classes, or they're struggling to get on a piece of equipment. And then you'll see February, the club's coming back to what would be considered probably its norm or close to its norm, because now things are starting to settle. People are finding spaces in the day or classes that aren't so busy, and added classes are appearing on the schedule. So seasonality can have a big, or play a big role in what happens on your dashboard. And we need to be aware of that. And that's why looking at this data over time is very powerful. You can take a snapshot in time every day, but equally you can look at your club over a series of months and over years eventually, and be prepared for some of that seasonality, and even to adjust for it and to do things that might help, reduce the impact of, what we typically consider a seasonal aberration.
Yeah, very good, Grant. I think most of the people appreciate that. There's definitely complexity to running a club, particularly as it pertains to keeping people happy when you're having surges and lulls in your attendance.
Yep. So next week we will come back and we'll explore maybe a little deeper into themes, as in, okay, how can we peel out some of that information as a Group X director, for example, or as a department head? How can we get down and dirty with, okay, what has substance here and what doesn't? So we'll look at that next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, Grant. Looking forward to it. We'll see you all then.
Thanks, mate. Bye.